Hello, good evening, children. Today we deals with the fourth chapter, that is excretion, the wastage disposing system. Generally, we know excretion means the removal of waste products from our body. The removal of waste products from our body is called excretion. And here we have an activity. This is about the observation of kidney, structure of kidney. For this purpose, we take goat or sheep's kidney, and we collect a kidney and we cut the kidney longitudinally with the help of blade. And for this, to conduct this activity, we need scissor, we need blade, we need tray, water, etc., etc. And if we cut the kidney, we observe the following parts like this: the outer portion and the inner portion. This is a longitudinal section of kidney. The outer portion is called cortex and the inner portion is called medulla. And here we are observing kidneys. We have two kidneys. They are bean shaped. Kidneys are bean shaped structures, and the right kidney, it is somewhat located at the bottom side compared to the left one, and the two kidneys are bean shaped, and two long pipe like structures arises from the kidneys. These are called ureters, and these ureters they open into a bag like structure. It is called bladder, and bladder opens outside through the urethra. And we know that we have two kidneys. The kidneys, actually the length of the kidney is approximately 10 centimeters, and the breadth is 5 to 6 centimeters, and the thickness of the kidney is 4 centimeters. And here we are observing blood vessels. This is called renal artery, and this is called renal vein, and renal artery and renal vein, they enter and they comes out from the kidneys. And here ureters comes, they are coming out of the kidneys, and like this two kidneys are there. They are actually located at the back side of the body, that is called dorsal side. They are attached to the dorsal body wall. This is the structure of kidney, and these ureters, they are approximately 30 centimeters in length, and they are just like pipe like structures, and they enter into the bladder. Bladder is a bag like structure. The capacity of the bladder is approximately 300 to 800 ml. That means it can store approximately 300 to 800 ml of urine. When this bladder is filled, then the urine it sent out through the urethra. Urethra, it is short in females and it is long in males. Here at the urethra, at the opening of the urethra, in between the urethra and urinary bladder, muscles are present in two layers. These muscles, they are under the control of our brain. Whenever we want to open the bladder, then only the bladder is opened. And in case of children and aged people and old age people, these muscles are out of control of brain. That's why children, they regularly urinate. That means that process is not under their brain control. And the excretion of urine, that is called micturition. Micturition means excretion of urine. Sending out the urine is called micturition. And our urine, it contains mostly water. Approximately urine contains 96% of water, and the remaining 2.5% are organ compounds like urea, creatine, amino acids, glucose, etc., etc. And the remaining 1.5%, it contains inorganic substances like salts like sodium, potassium, like that, etc., etc. And the urine, it's in slightly yellow in color. That color is called amber color. That is due to the presence of a substance called urochrome in the urine. Sometimes if our kidneys gets damaged, that condition is called ESRD. That means end stage renal disease. This is also called uremia. And kidneys damage due to so many reasons, that condition is called ESRD. Sometimes kidney is completely damaged, that is called irreversible damage, that condition is called uremia. In that condition, the patients are suggested to take dialysis. We discuss about the dialysis next. And the next one is here. This is the internal structure of kidney. If we observe the kidney, in the kidney millions of these structures are present. They are called nephrons. Or urinary tubules. They are called urinary tubules or nephrons. Approximately in each kidney 1.3 to 1.5 millions of nephrons are present in each kidney. 1.3 to 1.5 millions of nephrons are present in each kidney. These nephrons are called structural and functional unit of kidney. We discuss about the structure of nephron. If we observe the nephron, it mainly contains two parts. First, this cup-like portion. This portion is called Malpighian body, and the remaining portion, portion is called. This is called renal tubule. And this portion is called Malpighian body. First, we look at the Malpighian body. If we observe the Malpighian body, it contains mainly two structures: a cup-like structure and a bunch of blood vessels. This cup-like structure is called Bowman's capsule or Bowman's cup. This Bowman's capsule or Bowman's cup, it is surrounded by squamous epithelial cells, single layer of epithelial cells. These cells are called podocytes. In between the podocytes, small holes are there. Through these pores, the urine collected into the nephron like this. And if we observe here a bunch of blood vessels are there, and these blood vessels here, this is called afferent arteriole. The blood comes in through this afferent arteriole, and after coming into the Bowman's cup, it divides into number of small branches, and after that a narrow blood vessel coming out. This is called afferent arteriole. If we observe here, the size of the afferent arteriole is bigger than the efferent arteriole. Here afferent arteriole is bigger and the efferent arteriole is smaller. So here pressure is created. Due to that pressure, blood is filtered here. That means the waste products, the excess water in the blood, they get filtered here, and the filtered urine comes into the Bowman's cup. This is about the Malpighian body. Malpighian body means these two structures, Bowman's cup and this glomerulus. This portion is called a bunch of blood vessels. It is called glomerulus. The next portion is called renal tubule. In the renal tubule, mainly three parts are present. The first one is called this portion, this convoluted portion. This is called proximal convoluted tubule. This is also called first convoluted tubule. And the next portion, it's a long tube-like structure. It's in U shape. This is called loop of Henle. This portion is called loop of Henle. And the next portion, this is called distal convoluted tubule, DCT. It is called DCT. It is also called second convoluted tubule. And this distal convoluted tubule, it joins with the collecting tube. This is called collecting duct or collecting tube. Like this, structure of nephron is there, and in each kidney, number of nephrons are there. Approximately more than 1 million nephrons are present in each kidney, and each nephron open into this collecting tube. And all collecting tubes, they form these structures in the kidney. They are called pyramids and calyces. And all these structures, this is the longitudinal section or internal structure of the kidney. And if he observe the kidney, here this portion is called hilus. This is called hilus, and the starting portion of ureter, these are ureters. The starting portion of ureter is called pelvis. This is called pelvis, and this is a nephron, structure of nephron. Now we discuss about the formation of urine, how the urine is formed in the nephron. Formation of urine, it mainly consists of 4 stages. The first one is called glomerular filtration, second one is called tubular reabsorption, third one is called tubular secretion, and the fourth one is called concentration of urine. First we discuss about the glomerular filtration. Glomerular filtration, here it is Bowman's cup and this is glomerulus, and this total setup is called Malpighian body. Here first blood comes here through the afferent arteriole, and here glomerulus is there, and in the glomerulus filtration takes place. That means separation of waste products and water from the blood takes place here, and the separated urine comes into this Bowman's cup. This is called glomerular filtration. And next, that primary urine, it comes into the proximal convoluted tubule or first convoluted tubule. In the first convoluted tubule, second step takes place, that is called tubular reabsorption. Here most of the water in the urine, it is reabsorbed. Approximately 70 to 80% of water in the urine, it is reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. This is called tubular reabsorption. And also along with water, useful substances like glucose, amino acids, vitamin C, potassium, calcium, etc. are also absorbed here. And the next, urine enters into the loop of Henle. In the loop of Henle, some percent, that means 10% of water gets absorbed, and the urine comes into the distal convoluted tubule. In the distal convoluted tubule, the third step, that is called the tubular secretion, takes place. Tubular secretion means here secretion of waste products from the blood takes place. Here small blood vessels are here. Here small blood vessels are there. From these blood vessels, if waste products are present in the blood, they are directly secreted into the distal convoluted tubule. That is called tubular secretion. So tubular secretion, and that means separation of waste products from the blood into the distal convoluted tubule takes place here. Like this, urine is formed, and this urine, it is collected into the collecting tube. And the last one is concentration of urine. After completion of all these, glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion, concentration of urine takes place. That means if there is any excess water and useful substances in the urine, they are also reabsorbed. This results in the formation of concentrated urine. That means the urine we excreted regularly, daily we micturate approximately 1.3 to 1.6 liters of urine. And the next one is here, if our kidneys gets damaged, then doctors perform dialysis. This is necessary. If a person is suffering from kidney failure, this dialysis is necessary for survival. Here in the dialysis process, first blood is collected from the body like this, and to the blood doctors add anticoagulants like heparin, and the blood is collected from artery, and the blood is sent into the dialysis machine. That's called dialyzer. If we observe the dialyzer, this dialyzer contains small tube-like structures. All these are the tube-like structures. These are made up of cellophane plastic, and this dialysis machine, it contains a fluid that is called dialyzing solution. This is dialyzing solution. This dialyzing solution, it contains it is just like blood except waste products. So when the blood passes through these tubes, the waste products in the blood, they are transferred to the dialyzing solution through the process of diffusion. It's a simple process. This dialyzing solution, it is just like blood. The only difference between the blood and dialyzing solution is waste products are present in the blood, but they are absent in the dialyzing solution. So the waste products in the blood, they are transferred to the dialyzing solution, and the waste products are collected here, and the remaining blood is sent into the body through a vein, just like dialysis takes place. This is also a very important question, and this is used for the survival of a patient who is suffering from kidney failure, and it takes approximately this dialysis process, it takes approximately 3 to 5 hours. This is about dialysis. And the next one is this one. This is called kidney transplantation. This is the permanent solution for kidney failure. If a person is suffering from kidney failure, then doctors arrange another kidney like this. This is called kidney transplantation. This kidney transplantation, it was first done by a doctor, a scientist. He is Charles Hufnagel. Generally, kidney transplantation is done in this portion, in this region. Actually, the damaged kidneys, in general cases, they are not removed. In special cases only they get removed, because so many complications occur if we remove the these kidneys, damaged kidneys. So doctors, they arrange kidney here. This is called kidney transplantation. And so up to now we discussed about the excretion, that means removal of waste products from the body. The main excretory organ in our body is kidney. Along with kidney, some other organs also participation in excretion. Example, lungs. Lungs take oxygen and they liberate carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste product. So these lungs, they also takes part in excretion process. And skin, we all know that skin contains sweat glands. Sweat glands secrete sweat. Sweat also contains waste products like salts, excess water, etc., etc., and it also cools the body. And skin also contains sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands secrete oily-like substance that is called sebum. So skin also acts as excretory organ in our body. And here we have liver. Liver also plays an important role in excretion, and the red blood cells in our blood, they break down after their lifetime in the liver. Due to the breakdown of RBC, these bile pigments and bile salts are formed, and also these waste products, bile salts, bile pigments, they sent out through the liver, and whatever the waste products we eat through our food, whatever the toxic product we eat through our food, it is first sent to the liver. So it is called a detoxifying organ. So most of the products, most of the toxic products and bile salts, bile pigments, etc., are excreted by the liver and this large intestine. It also plays an important role in excretion, and some of the waste products, they are excreted. Unwanted minerals, unwanted salts, ions, they get excreted through the large intestine. So along with kidneys, lungs, skin, liver, and large intestine, they also act as excretory organs. And here a table. This is about different excretory organs in different organisms. In protozoans like amoeba, euglena, paramecium, excretion takes place by the process of simple diffusion. And in porifera and coelentrates, here excretion is almost done by their cells. And in platyhelminths and nematodes, the excretory organs are flame cells. This is important as bit. And in annelids like earthworms, the excretory organs are nephridia. In arthropods, like insects, different insects are there. In insects or in arthropods, the excretory organs are green glands and Malpighian tubules. In mollusks, for example, snail in Telugu it is called napta. In mollusks, the excretory organs are metanephridia. In echinodermates, example starfish, etc., etc. Here, excretory system is water vascular system, and in reptiles, birds, and mammals, and also in human beings, we are also mammals. The excretory organs are kidneys. This is also important. It is this table is asked as bits or matching. The next one is now we discuss about the excretion in plants. Uh, Plants mainly produce two types of substances. One type of substances are called primary metabolites, and second type of substances are called secondary metabolites. Primary metabolites means carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids. These substances, they are required for the growth of the plant, growth and development of the plant. So these are called primary metabolites. And next one is secondary metabolites. These are not involved in the growth and development of the plant, but they are essential for the defense purposes, for protection purposes. Example for secondary metabolites are alkaloids, um, and remaining tannins, resins, gums, latex, etc., etc. So plants produce mainly two types of substances, primary and secondary metabolites. This is also asked as 2 marks question. And here a table is there. This table is very important. This is alkaloid table. This question is asked as 4 marks question, and these are the different alkaloids present in different plants. And first, quinine. It is available in the cinchona plant, and it is present in the bark. It is used as anti-malarial drug. And nicotine. And tobacco plant, it is available in leaves. It is used as insecticides. And morphine, cocaine, it is present in opium, fruit. It is used as painkiller. Reserpine, it is present in Rauwolfia serpentina, available in the root, and it is used as medicine for snake bite. Caffeine, available in Caffeia arabica seeds, and its use is central nervous system stimulation. Nimbin, it is present in neem plant, and it is present in seeds, barks, and leaves. It is used as antiseptic. And scopolamine, it is present in datura plant, available in fruit and flower. It is used as sedative. And pyrethroids, present in chrysanthemum, like that means chamanti, available in the flower. It is used as insecticides. These are the pictures of the plant that produce alkaloids: the papaver, Rauwolfia, and coffee plant, tobacco, datura, etc., etc. This table is important. It is asked as 4 marks question. And here some other plants are there. This cassia and acacia. These plants produce tannins. Tannins are also secondary metabolites. These tannins are used for the softening of leathers. And here another plant is there, Pinus. From this, resins are prepared. Resins, it is also secondary metabolite. It is used in the preparation of varnishes, along with alkaloids, tannins, resins. Gums are also there. Gums are used for binding purposes. And latex means it's a milky like substance. It is available. It is we obtain latex from the rubber plant. Rubber we use, it is coming from latex of rubber plant. And latex, gums, tannins, resins, and alkaloids, all these are the secondary metabolites that we obtain from the plants. And here the main small difference between the excretion and secretion. Excretion means removal of waste products from the body, elimination of waste products from the body. But secretion means movement of substances within the body from one place to another place. This is called secretion. In exams it is also asked as 1 mark question. Excretion means removal of waste products from removal from the body, and secretion means movement in the body, within the body, from one place to another place. This is called secretion. This is about this lesson, and read this lesson, and good luck.